Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name is Jenny Senapedaratna. Grab your favorite drink, get a snack, and we'll get started. Today I have Raisinets and I have vanilla bean macaroon black tea. If you've never tried it and you like black tea, yum, yum, yum. So let's get real. I've already talked a little bit in a previous podcast about my getting on a bowl, on the mechanical bowl. And I may actually share pictures eventually, but I'm not today. But I want to talk a little bit about our trip from New Mexico to Texas. Now, New Mexico we went to because it's our 49th state. State number 49 that Kevin and I have been to. Almost all of them together, which is kind of fun. Actually, now that I've said that aloud, I'm pretty sure all of them together in one form or another. We've been to all 49 states. And that was really fun. So that's why actually we went to New Mexico and we went there and spoke. And we stayed in an Airbnb, which was really cute and kind of like a small little town. And it is amazing when you grow up in Minnesota how different areas are. So this is desert. Like there was nothing anywhere other than cactus and like cows. So we're on our way back from New Mexico to Texas, and it was one of those days that was so windy, it was hard to keep the car on the road. It was just, it was very difficult to keep it in between the two lines, you know? You've been there, and they talk a lot about windstorms, and there was a blizzard right behind us at the town we just left, and they called school, like it was a whole thing with wind. And because of the wind and because it's New Mexico, there were tumbleweed everywhere. And they were not little teeny tumbleweed. They were those huge things that you feel like could swallow your car. And they're everywhere. At one point we took a video and right ahead of us, because the wind was hitting just the right way for them to fly across the road, there were 30 tumbleweed flying across the road right in front of us. It was just one of those most, like, you're like, this looks like a movie. Honestly, I wanted to pull over and like take video after video, and I was like, we just have to get through. So that day we drove, I believe it was 6.5 hours that day to get to our next Airbnb. And so we are in the car for that long and my arms are throbbing. I will be honest, like, because you're really holding that wheel very, very tight to keep from going off the road, hitting a tumbleweed, hitting another car, just craziness. And that day, I realized something that I think could be, hopefully for you, a practical thought. I don't know. We'll see. So as the tumbleweeds started, at first I was panicked because I was like, okay, these are big. Like the small ones I know you can drive over. And those people that like live in an area of tumbleweed and you understand that, like I didn't understand that some of them you could hit and it's not going to be a big deal. Like I was afraid. I'll be completely honest. So at first I'm watching these tumbleweed and I'm watching them come off out of the fields right onto the road, and all I felt was fear. And I was like, Lord, I am very fearful. And then it turned into, Lord, I need your protection. It turned into that very, very quickly for me. And I spent a lot of time praying tumbleweed would get caught or stopped, or that it would, go right in front of us before we got there. Like there was so much time that I spent praying over tumbleweed. And you're like, okay, Jenny, that's not that big of a deal to most of us. We don't live in a town that has tumbleweed. Now, if you do, you understand praying to avoid tumbleweed. In fact, I remember the first time that I ever really saw tumbleweed other than in a cartoon, because you see them in cartoons, right? My mom and I rented a car. And we were in Arizona. We were going down to Tucson, Arizona, and we'd rented a car. And one came and went right over the top of our car. And it was huge. It was this huge one. And we got out and the car was scratched from bumper to bumper from the tumbleweed. And that was not good because it was a rented car. But that's okay. Everything worked out. Now it's been probably 16 years since then. So we've moved on. But I had a real sense of, what do we do? Panic moment. Like, should we postpone our trip because of this tumbleweed moment? And I just wanted to come on today because I feel like some of you are walking through a minefield of tumbleweed in your own life right now. There are things that you cannot control because you can't control tumbleweed. I don't care who you are. They had fences up. That didn't stop it. Like, there's no stopping some kind of tumbleweeds in your own life. There is no stopping them flying in and flying out and doing damage. And you just don't know what's going to happen with them. And some of you are walking through that kind of time in your life right now, whether it's with people or finances or your kids or your parents or work, or there's so many different things it could be. And you're walking through that right now. And I want you to know that it's okay to have a moment of, oh no, I don't know what to do. I'm fearful. I honestly cannot control these. You tried, you've put up fences, you have done everything you know how to do to stop this chaos happening in your life. And that's what I would call tumbleweed, is a little bit of something you can control. Chaos. And I just want you to know it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be like, I don't know what to do. I don't even know, like, should I stop? Should I go forward? What should I do? Should I go faster? Should I go slower? I mean, there were moments that I was like, should I just speed up and get there as quick as I can? Should I slow down a little bit? Should I take a different route? Like, what should I do? What kind of changes should I make here? It's okay to be there. But there was also that moment when I realized that I had to put it in prayer. And I had to be like, Lord, I can't do anything about this. I don't know what to do. I need your guidance. I need your protection. I need you to take control of this because I can't. And I will tell you that there were still moments that I went, wah! But the peace that entered my car was something that I cannot explain, because I knew that as I prayed that entire time, there were very few moments that I was not praying for the tumbleweed to stop, or that we wouldn't have to, get hit somehow or whatever. Although I don't think it would have done a whole lot of damage. We did have a pretty big car. But you understand what I'm saying. That I prayed my way through it, knowing that God would be in control, that he would guide my steps. And I think that we lose that in the midst of chaos. We are very good at asking God when we have something that seems like, okay, I see that I can do A, B, and C and move that direction. But when you get in a place that there just doesn't seem to be any hope, you look out and there are 30 tumbleweed and you're like, Lord, this is a landmine. You know you're sending me into a landmine right now. And he's like, I do. I know I'm sending you there. But my hands will guide you. And to lean back into him and realize that he's in charge is something that I wish for you in that time period as you're walking through the landmine of tumbleweed in your life. I pray that you will just take a moment and give it to God. And it's not a one and done kind of thing. It is an all the way through that and then thanking him at the end. I actually heard the other day, someone was talking to me about their prayer life. And they said, I started just thanking God in the midst of it because I knew that he was going to take care of it. And I wish I would tell you right now that I was like, yeah, I was totally in the car thanking God that he was taking care of it. I was not. There was a sense of urgency happening for me that entire time. I was like, Lord, I need you. Lord, I need your strength. Lord, I need your guidance. Lord, I need your peace. Lord, I need this. There was no time that I went, oh, I should thank him for getting me through this. I did afterwards. So if you have that clarity in the midst of it, do thank him because you know he's going to bring you all the way through. It has happened throughout your life. When you go back and you look at what God's brought you through, that's what gives you courage to know that he's going to bring you through this too. Last podcast, I talked about Daniel, and part of Daniel's part of Daniel being able to stand in amongst the lions really had to do with what God had done for him before. We walk through things and God provides and God shows up and he does miracles in our lives. And you need to remember those and go back to them when you're in the landmine of tumbleweed. And know that God will provide again, and he will stand with you, and he will bring you through. So that's my encouragement for you this week. I just know that tumbleweed lifestyles are scary. And it can feel like you're alone, and it can feel like nobody understands, because it's very hard to show people what's going on. Like, even though we took video of what was going on, like, my family was like, yeah, what's the big deal? It's tumbleweed. No one's going to really grasp the magnitude it is for you. And that's okay, because God does. God grasps the magnitude that it is for you. Don't let anybody else belittle it for you, but do allow God to step in and be a part of what you're walking through, and trust that he will bring you all the way through, because he has in the past. And when he gets you through, write it down. I know that I'm not very good at that kind of thing, at writing things down and finding them again, but it's so important to be able to go back and see how God provided for you financially, for you socially, for you emotionally, for you mentally, for you at your jobs, through your kids, what kind of things he does. It's so important to be able to go back and say, oh, God does care about this, because you can feel really alone sometimes in that desert. You can feel like nobody understands and you're all alone. And you need to remember that God cares about the details of your life. And if you go back and see the things that he's done in your life, that will really help you. Well, you can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Facebook, Instagram, and Be Real. All of a sudden, like, where am I located? Who knows? And you can find me at christconnection.cc/Jen. All of my info is there. I'm very excited to hear about how God brings you through this tumbleweed in your life. And if you're not dealing with tumbleweed, wonderful. I'm super excited for you, because then you have the opportunity to start writing down what God has done in your life. And be able to go back and see what he's done. My favorite thing to do, because I'm kind of a nerd like this, is I have that Time Hop app, and I have put on Facebook throughout the years things that God has done. And it's not for my friends, it is for me. It is for me to remember when I go back on February 1st and I see all the things that God has provided in my life. It gives me courage to get through today and to get through the tumbleweed that I'm currently facing. Well, you all have a really great week.